Okay, just to show disassembly and assembly. As we said before, it is a job where you need an Allen key for. So it's just a standard Allen key. There's 3 screws. There's 1 there and 2 there. So I've already taken 2 out, so save time. This assembly is keyed in, so it's a neat fit. As you can see, this goes inside there. Recoil abutment, basically, you'd probably call that in a bolt-action rifle. So the upper is pulled tight against the lower. So as you can see here, we have the hammer. Everything else is very basic in there. I don't have the latch mechanism in there at the moment for reasons I don't really want to show everybody. So that's very simple trigger mechanism, lower. In the upper, and I've just taken the springs out because I didn't want to have them flying around, we have 2 guide rods and 2 springs that locate into the bolt carrier. So this is the bolt carrier, which once it's back there, imagine with the springs and the guide rods on, these will come out together. And the trick with this over other ones is the small travel. Typical extractor, as you've probably seen before, ejector pin in the front, the same as everything else basically in the world. The key piece, the latch piece to stop the bolt from going back until it's in the right position, and then so the bolt rotates 22.5 degrees. There's 8 lugs. Do the maths. So that assembly then into the barrel extension. That piece there. So that for cleaning, remove the bottom. You can spray in there with your favourite cleaner, whatever. Disassemble. To get at your barrel, you can use a snake or whatever you want to use. You've got great access to the chamber area. So obviously running a cleaning rod from this end, brush or whatever you have on there, pull back into a chamber brush. Some of those flexible brushes, rods that I've seen, you could actually probably come in from there to clean it. But you know, the brushes with the 90-degree angle on, whatever you need to do to clean that area out. So cleaning the barrel doesn't need to be removed. There's no need for that. You've got all this big open area here to pull things through. No need to do any more disassemble than that. Nice and simple. There's nothing to it. Okay, assembly is the same way. Bolt carrier and bolt. Just make sure it runs freely. Pull the bolt out, drop it in. It goes in, locks. All good. I'm not going to show, so I don't have. There's a plate on the end of this that the 2 guide rods are attached to. So when you put it together, you are holding the plate and just dropping the whole thing as one piece. At the moment, I don't have the plate. We did get carried away a little bit today. So to reassemble, again, clean. Whatever your favourite type of lubrication is, I wouldn't recommend you need to put a lot of lubrication on this. It is good quality 7075 aluminium, not prone to galling or anything like that. Obviously, you do need some sort of lube. So once the springs are in there, align the bottom to the top, keys in, no movement, screws. The back screw is on a little bit of an angle. You can undo it slowly, or if you wish, just use your bigger Allen key, undo the bolt that holds the grip on, and the grip comes off and you can get a straight line at it. Either way, it probably takes the same amount of time, so it's not really whichever way you go. If you've got the Allen key with the ball on the end, then you could just loosen it and then undo it from there. So that basically takes care of that. We don't have the fore end on here to show you, but the fore end is basically 4 screws, screw underneath the bottom there, slide off. You then have, it's just a little bit jiggly because it's just sitting here. You do have then your gas system of pulling it back, pulling the rod out, pulling this one out. There will be a little 4mm screw on the end of there with a spring, so you can adjust it, but it won't fall out if you got the gun disassembled. So be taking the screw off. This can come out, not 100% necessary, because the main thing will be just cleaning inside there where the piston goes. Wipe the piston, wipe in there, make sure it travels back and forwards freely, reassemble it. Paying attention to which of the indicators you were on as to which size hole for your gas is going to be working. So we probably envisage that you will have the centre one will be blocked off, left will be normal gas, right will be for light loads. So this is the basics of it. As we said earlier, we've only just got it ourselves and just started doing. I'm working with the spring lengths to suit, which we'll have to then balance with the loads and the springs. So this is it for a start. So you know as much as we know at the moment of where we're at with pulling it apart and working on it. So enjoy the journey with us.
What did we decide on the thread here, Jim?
Okay, yeah, it's 1/28, just your standard thread for any of those 2-3 type calibers.
Yeah.
So all those types of front ends you want to put on there, modifiers, whatever you want to call them, will all go straight onto that barrel.
Right, and I think we've got a blast shield as well that is going to be optional.
Yep.
So that's sort of quite newish in technology. So muzzle brake inside, but a cover so that the blast goes forward, keeps it quiet and away from the shooters, because you know what typical muzzle brakes are. They're not. You lose a lot of friends with them.
Very noisy. Yeah, especially around a car.
Yeah, and I printed. This is just the 3D print of the front end of the gas block, which is being made at the moment. And hopefully next week we'll have the real McCoy. But this inside here, obviously the gas tube or the hole will be up on top.
Yep.
And it will give this tube here.
Yep. So
that stays with them. Yeah, that stays with it.
Yep.
And that will move.
And that can come out.
Yeah.
Which we have. They're both the same size at the moment, but we'll have a larger hole for the lower velocity ammunition, the standard size hole for your normal factory.
Yep.
We've also put in a third position, which is just done by the locator, which blocks it off totally. So you will get no action of the gun apart from manual operation.
Right.
So it'll stop throwing the case out into the wherever. So if you're trying to save your cases for some reason, but it will stop that operation, basically make it a straight pull.
Yeah.
That's just a simple turn type adjustment. So that will just be available.
Well, that's an extra bonus, really, because it's not available with anything else on the market.
No. So it gives you that option of higher loads, lighter loads, and blocking it off totally, so you don't have to worry about throwing cases inside the car or something, whatever reason, really low velocity stuff.
Yep.
You can just be able to turn that off and go, yes, this is
still
a straight pull, no noise out of the receiver, nothing like that.
No, it's a good idea. Very good. So how far is this rod going to travel in reality?
It travels about an inch, about 25, 26 millimetres.
Right, and that's enough to
start the momentum, and by that time the bolt head is unlocked.
Yep.
And is clear of the barrel extension.
Yeah.
So after that, it's just purely the momentum of the bolt carrier against the springs. So that's what balances that out.
Right.
So a larger amount of gas there will give it more power in that first start of a stroke.
Yep.
But it doesn't need to go all the way back.
The kinetic energy is enough to...
Once you start it moving, the velocity of that bolt carrier stays the same.
Right. Excellent. And so locking time is quite...
Very quick.
Very quick indeed, isn't it?
Very quick, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's typical of any of the 223s. Actually, if you go back, even a Mini 14, all of the actions that work on that, and you've got to actually attribute pretty well all of that to John Moses. Been no real change since John Moses came up with the idea in the late 1800s. The proof is really that the bullet is way gone by the time anything here can start moving, mainly because of the weight of items. That just dwells it for that little bit of time, which then gives the chance for that to start moving. Once it started moving, obviously it goes back. The springs with this operation, the spring will load up, absorb a lot of your recoil. So a bolt action rifle, everything is like boom, solid. Here, you've got the gas system and the springs taking up that load, which means the gun will stay on target after you fire the shot because there's less solidness in the
absolutely.
When the shot's fired, the gas will push this piston back, will pull the bolt back to about there. Then it's free. It's started to cock the hammer already, all those taking off it. It's just building up pressure on the springs. The latch will latch back there. When you release the latch, go forward, strip a round off the magazine, into the chamber. Up there, we start the cycle again.
Yeah.
The gas will come there, just punch that.
And there's a spring in here, obviously.
There's a spring that holds that rod back against there, or just returns it back into its right position.
Yep.
The gas comes through here into this area here, which is like a piston in a car. So there's the piston. It has little cleaning rings on it.
Yep.
So basically, any crud that gets on there, it's just typical of all the gas systems. A couple of grooves is enough to give it an edge that will be self-cleaning. So anything that gets in there, in actual fact, gets cleared out.
Yep. And better there than inside here.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, that's just there, and the area on your handguard is just sealed for that small amount, so you don't have your rails on the top here anywhere, so gas can get out. So gas will just escape around the barrel and inside the forearms.
Yep.
Very, very minimal, especially a gun that will open and stay open. So it means cool air goes through your barrel.
Yep.
Which means it also gets into the gas system. So it stays very cool, as opposed to a gun that cycles and closes up with the round there. The hot air and gases and that is trapped in there until you fire the shot, and then it starts that all again.
Yeah. So I see now we've got the lever on this side for lefties.
Yep. Yeah, I put that on there because the gun staying on the bench, it looked a bit silly sitting with the other one. So we have levers for both sides. So
but it will actually be an ambidextrous.
Totally ambidextrous.
Yeah.
And having a safety, we haven't touched on the safety. The safety is a crossbolt type safety, which means it can be handled from either side.
Yep.
So it really means that you can't get confused with having two levers next to each other on a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really odd, but you can.
Yeah, it does happen.
Which one did I push?
Yeah.
And get caught. So.
And it gives us more room, I suppose.
And more, because once it's out of the way, it's flush.
Yeah.
So there's nothing there.
Right.
Effectively.
Yeah.
It'll be on the opposite side to your lever.
Yeah.
Whichever way you want to go, we can turn it around.
Yeah.
So that gives you an ambidextrous total use. We're using a clamp system to hold the barrel in.
Yep.
Anybody who's used to the PRSs and all those sorts of AR ideas with the big nut, where you'd be the big spanner and thing to get it tight.
Yeah.
We have 3 bolts that clamps it in.
Yep.
Again, you torque them up. We've changed a little bit here. What happens when you design something and then you all of a sudden change your mind because you come up with something better? The bolt handle will actually fact move forward to approximately here, which will mean that
will close up a bit.
Close up.
Yep.
Yep.
Reduce the amount of space for rubbish to get in.
Dirt and stuff like that.
Yep.
The other thing that having a handle here does is an ejected case will come out and hit the handle more than coming back in, especially a lefty.
Yep.
More than the case coming back into the face.
Right.
If you see any pictures of the AR-15 type gun, you'll see on the side of the gun there's this big bulge.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a handle there.
Yep.
And it stops the cases coming straight back along the action, hitting you in the face.
Right.
So the handle is exactly the centre of the ejection position.
Yep.
So a case can hit the handle, go down, go up, but not straight into your eye or something like that. So we do position that for a purpose, and moving it forward serve 2 things. 1, the gas, but 2, it put it closer to where the case rotates out. So instead of spinning around before it comes around, it gets half a rotation and then it's gone.
Yeah.
By moving that forward, it will sit about there under normal conditions of closed.
Yep.
When the gun's open, it will sit somewhere about there.
So we've closed
closed up all of that.
All that opening there.
Yeah, all the stuff that can get in there and that you've blocked out.
Yeah. The thing that I think we've successful on is having this system, not having this firearm not as a hinged pull a pin. You pick up a lot of these particular type of rifles and you take a pin up, and this is rock solid. And at the end of the day, we're not building this for people who want to hang in a tree upside down and strip their guns.
We're not going G.I. Jane or whatever it was.
Yeah. And the other thing is they shouldn't have to, because we're not delivering gas into the receiver at all. So we envisage a hell of a lot less issues with this particular system.
If you drop it in the mud or something like that, you're going to do the same thing as you'd do if you're a really nice bolt action rifle or whatever else you've had.
Yep.
You're going to pull it apart and clean it.
Yep.
Given the originality of all this design, it was basically meant to be used by military.
Yep.
So there are a lot of things in there that actually sort of take care of that sort of stuff. There's places in there that mud can go that's not going to cause a problem. But we all like our guns.
Yeah, of course.
If there's that big group of pigs or something out there, well,
you don't want to
should be able to handle it.
Yep, absolutely.
So probably as we move back, I think we talked about the magazine release and the safety. So just basic units, everyone's used to. A straight trigger, which will centre line pretty well on where that one is, which gives you a really nice position. You can grab quickly, finger all the way through. It's still not that long. But if you want to just tuck your finger out and get that pad thing on a nice flat surface, then you've got a very fine trigger. And the trigger weight will be very, very minimal on this because we don't have to have all those other things in there that other guns have.
And we've got that sort of extra 3/4 of an inch length of pull. You know, I find a lot of the traditional guns very, very short, and you're sort of hunched up when you can't really shoot them comfortably in real terms, whereas this longer length of pull, makes it a much better system.
You can get a really nice pad on
Yeah.
For that nice precise shot, and still grab it and stick your finger through if you're in creek. We all do that. we're guilty of when we're in a hurry. When that pig's running.
So in terms of trigger weight, Jim, where do you think we'll end up?
I think for your normal safety of people using them, we've got obviously people who can have the lightest trigger in the world because they're on a bench rest or something like that. You're throwing it around in a vehicle or you're on a motorbike or something like that.
Different story.
Then you need that little bit of weight for safety, but it doesn't have to be horrible.
No.
So you can have a little bit of weight with a really nice let off. And it's going to be something that when we get to fire it a bit, everybody will get an idea. I would probably just aim at 4 pound to start with. With a nice smooth let off.
So no creep.
No creep. None of that hard stop thing. And none of that horrible long 2-stage type idea. And because the way we're designing it, we're making it ourselves, we're not restricted to what people have been trying to make. That will fit something else that we don't really have here anyway.
Where do you think we'll be weight-wise? Are we sort of thinking 5 pounds, something like that?
The trigger weight?
No,
the gun. We're going to have to weigh it.
Yeah, well, we're getting close. We're getting close.
We've been more worried about making it more than constraining it to a weight limit. This barrel's a little bit heavy compared to probably what will be on there. This area here will probably be a bit smaller. That will be brought in a bit.
And the 7 series alloy top end has certainly helped a hell of a lot, hasn't it?
Very light. Very light. Your 7075's ideal. And the probably at the moment there's a little bit of bulkiness. We haven't trimmed off these edges here and all that sort of stuff, but it'll only make a little bit of difference. It's not a lot. So by the time if we were to weigh this probably right now and say we're going to take a little bit of weight off there, a little bit of weight off here, and put a forend on, it'll probably be whatever this weight is really. We should go and weigh it now that we've got one all together. And different things there with all the adjustments on them and all that sort of stuff can add a little bit of weight. But I think it'll still be within like 1 pound no matter what you add to it. So if we say it's going to be between 6 and 8, it'll probably be always around 7.
Well, there we have the weight, 3.39 kilos bare. So I guess at a magazine, 3.48. 3.475. So that's going to be about 7.5.
7.7.
Yeah.